Welcome everybody to Chain Chatter, episode 11. I've got Eric here co-hosting with me, and we've got Addicted on the panel and Aesthetica on the panel. So we took last week off from Chain Chatter, but this week is a good topic, especially with the current state of the bull market kind of taking full effect and Bitcoin going up and making us all get back to sunshine and Lambos, as I like to say, in terms of mindset. So definitely a good time to revisit, how to deal with these markets and, the stress and anxiety that comes with a bull run. So a lot of people obviously like to think about and talk about how we feel during a bear market, but they don't like to talk about how you feel during a bull market, which is equally, if not more, clouded in terms of, you know, your reasoning and judgment. So if you are returning to Chain Chatter, then you know the format of how we do these. But if you're new to Chain Chatter, then I'll just give you the quick rundown. So we start with, introducing the speakers for a few minutes, and then we kind of dive into the topic from there. And during the entire show, you guys can comment on the Threadcast. I think Eric's going to link it on the X space, but you guys can jump in the Threadcast and you can interact with us live. And then also you can put questions in the Threadcast. And then throughout the show, Eric will collect those questions. And then for about 20 minutes at the end, we'll go through those questions. He'll ask them to the whole panel. And it's kind of open season for us to answer those questions. So without further ado, let's dive in. So let's start with Addicted because, a lot of people here probably already know you. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of who you are, and your position in the crypto space?
Just a classic degen. No, I mean, who's the audience? Like, is this a Hive audience or just generic?
I mean, you got a nice mix. I would say obviously it's going to be pretty Hive oriented. But
Right. So I guess I just
obviously
say
going out.
I've been a blogger on Hive since 2017. Been through, the multiple crazy bull markets and bear markets that we've had since then, and just grinding as a blogger in the space. Which, yeah, I mean, obviously it's weird because nobody knows about Hive, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think if you were to kind of more generically, and I've obviously known you for years, but if you were to more generically describe yourself, how would you describe your position in terms of like you're working in Web3, you're, creating content in Web3, what are you investing in? Give us like the more generic Addicted rundown.
Yeah, I'm really at a loss there because I have so many goals, but they're all, unrealized. Like I would like to start a business on Hive, but I just, I haven't done it, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Like I have really big expectations of NFTs, but I think that NFTs as JPEGs are just, kind of ridiculous and no utility. And like, I don't know. I just feel like the entire blockchain space is just kind of full of unlimited potential, and it's just not being realized yet. And it's hard to say like if and when that will happen, especially now in this day and age with the whole AI thing. I know you're like branching out into AI, um, but it's like metaverse in the last cycle. It's like it's vapor until somebody actually does something with it that has utility instead of just being speculative, pump and dump, degenerate gambling. Um, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is and I know you've been talking about your game idea forever. But yeah, it's an interesting space to be in, and there's never a shortage of things to do. But yeah, I mean, I'm also, and I'm sure we'll kind of dive into it, but very keen on what's been happening with AI and even NFTs, which have gotten affected by AI. Obviously with the generative images. So we'll dive into that later. Aesthetica, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience? Let us know, when you got into crypto, what you're, about in the space, and just general things about you.
Yeah, my guys, it's a pleasure. to be here. Thank you for the invite. I always, like to have a chat with people if possible. So I've been in the space for around 3 years. I came from knowing absolutely nothing about crypto. I learned everything I knew on the field. I done basically. I think of myself about the true definition of grinder. I've done every job possible that was available in Web3, not only the NFT space, also crypto. I wanted to learn as much as I could. I share. I think I have the feeling that me and Addicted will get along very well. He said a couple of sentences, and I was cheering on my chair. So I very much agree with him regarding NFTs, regarding the potential of Web3 there is being wasted. But this is a topic that actually we talk a lot lately about. I don't know why I'm talking a lot about this, but happens. And the thing about Web3 is that it's a 99% a financially driven space. And when you do things not because are cool, not because are innovative, but because you need to capitalize on those, you don't do anything cool. You don't only things to gain money, and there is nothing bad with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Just to be clear, but people look at Web3 as technology, innovation, and yada yada. It's nothing relevant actually, and the topic actually of today's space is very interesting because I don't see the next bull run as a source of anxiety. Uh, Everything that Web3 is right now, at the moment, at its current stage, is a series of opportunities. In During the bull market, we will have more of those. We will lose more opportunities because you can't possibly capitalize on each and every one of them. But just to give you, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction to my thoughts more than who I am. That nobody cares about who I am.
Well, you said something there that I think would be a good place for us to kind of start digging into. So it makes for a good transition, which is you can't take advantage of every single opportunity in the space. I think, especially that we're kind of on the cusp of the bull run or the beginning stages of it, I would say, obviously Bitcoin, just reached its new, or at least touched the previous all time high. Um, we're kind of at the early stage of this run, especially for altcoins. I mean, you see a lot of altcoins haven't even taken off yet. So I would say we're definitely in the kind of phase one of this bull run, in my opinion. And at this stage, a lot of people are still kind of balancing their portfolio, still figuring out which coins they want to be in, which projects they want to be involved in. And I think it's an important time where people have to kind of decide like what am I going to focus on, what am I not going to focus on. And I think the second question is the one that's more important in my opinion, which is what do you not focus on, what do you purposefully ignore, because there are so many opportunities in this space, and so many different things you can do. And I think one of the big mistakes that we all make, and a lot of new people make when they first get in the space, is trying to focus on too many things, trying to get into too many projects, trying to catch the run of meme coins, which have kind of started to take off recently, especially over on Solana. So it's a wild landscape, and there's so many things that you can focus on. So, Addicted, let's start with you. How do you decide what to focus on and what not to focus on, especially as we kind of enter this crazy bull run stage?
I cannot wait to short dog with hat. I just can't wait. I hate that coin so much, and the hype around it. I just like it's so weird because these coins that are built on EVM and other smart contract platforms like Solana and whatever else, they get free liquidity and they get free marketing to all the rich people. Like when Ethereum gets rich, like the meme coins will just randomly, 1,000x or whatever. And then the same thing happened with Solana lately. They made it into the top 10. I think they're like rank 5 or something. And now like, oh, there's a bunch of meme coins that are just like getting free money. And it's like, these meme coins are like rank 50, rank 70 on the market cap, and Hive is sitting here at like rank 350, and I'm just like, what is like? It's just so enraging, like that these nothing tokens just, it just shows you that liquidity is the most important thing, and that's what we need to be focusing on. Like, narrative of the next bull market is going to be heavily just focused on decentralized exchange, DEX technology. I know you're super into Rune. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely, I've been a believer for the last couple of years that decentralized exchanges and the overall liquidity market is going to be kind of one of the biggest things that is a driving narrative for crypto, because and I mean, you see it in so many different aspects. Like, it's not just one angle. There's so many different angles to it, but one angle is obviously like what happened with centralized exchanges in the last bull bear cycle, which is you obviously had FTX blow up, and Binance is having a ton of issues as well. And then even Coinbase, kind of butting heads with the US regulators a little bit. So, I mean, you're seeing a lot of different narratives shape up, and like you said, liquidity is ultimately the driver in this, kind of bleeding edge market. When you've got these meme coins that are, taking off, it's really just that people get behind them, and people with a lot of money and a lot of power get behind them, and then the community kind of takes it and runs with it, because they know that there's people that they personally know, people who made tens of thousands or even millions of dollars investing in like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. So then they think that whatever meme coin next is the next version of that. So yeah, I think liquidity and decentralized exchanges in general are going to be a big narrative, which is why a lot of my portfolio is positioned in Rune, because I think they're going to soak up a big share of that overall crypto exchange market between sexes and dexes. I mean, not even just decentralized exchanges on their own. I think they're actually going to eat market share from centralized exchanges, which is one thing I would love to see in this space. Aesthetica, what are you focused on, and more importantly, how do you decide what not to focus on in this market?
That's a fantastic question that is not asked often, and it's a shame. So since I started in Web3, I realized that I'm not a tech guy. I'm not a tech guy. Sadly, I'm studying development just because I don't like to be completely ignorant about what's going on around me, or how things works, because I like to stay on top of things. But generally speaking, I really find, especially being heavily involved in the NFT space myself, because I found myself here. I started as an artist, so I started selling my shit. People bought that. I'm very happy. I appreciate them, whatever. But I found myself kind of in the NFT space, and everything that is childish, I don't care about. The old social fi bullshit, the metaverse, and I'm really interested in gaming, but not Web3 gaming. I'm looking for someone that potentially will be able to redefine or to rewrite the concept of Web3 gaming, because for now it's nothing. Basically, it's a joke. Everything that makes too much noise, generally speaking, I avoid it. There was the portal thingy back in the days. I don't even know what that is, because I found opportunities where when everyone is looking left, I'm looking for opportunities in the right, because there is way less noise. It's way less easy. It's way more easy to capitalize on those opportunities, because there is less competition. So that's my strategy, basically, in general. Obviously, you hear from people that, oh, I received an airdrop for $1 trillion. I'm a trillionaire now. Yes, you. And how many people have lost money during the process? So it's important in Web3 to shut the noise and learn as much as you can to understand how things works and focus on the right things. Choose your battle wisely. At least this is my point of view.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's, and it's like I said in the question, figuring out what not to focus on is just as important as figuring out what to focus on. So let's kind of like continue with that general framework, and start with you, Addicted. How many, if you had to take your portfolio and say how many, different investments do you have in your, let's just call it your core crypto portfolio? And I would include things like, NFTs or, projects you're invested in. Are there like, and just, I'm looking for just kind of like a broad number. Like, do you have 5 different things you're focused on, or do you have 50 different things that you're focused on?
Oh, nice. I was actually writing a couple notes down, and that kind of ties into that. Like, I think, when I first got here in 2017, um, Bitcoin was like the grandpa coin. It was like, I don't want that. I want the next Bitcoin. I don't know if you kind of had any the same kind of deal, but now I've come to respect like Bitcoin a lot more. So I'm like, Bitcoin, you got to have it in your portfolio. You just have to. It's more predictable than everything else. It's less risky. The risk reward ratio is better than everything else. Like if you're gonna trade, like I always trade Bitcoin. I don't trade anything else because it's like it's more predictable. So why wouldn't you just increase your leverage on Bitcoin instead of doing other stuff? But anyway, I think privacy is going to be important. If you don't think it's important already, it's going to be. Like we look at XMR, and it's the same issue there with liquidity. They're getting delisted from all the centralized exchanges, but as soon as XMR, Monero, and other privacy coins get listed on decentralized exchanges and they can't be delisted, and they get large liquidity pools, there's going to be no stopping them. And those listings on decentralized exchanges are going to create a situation where it makes every other token on that decentralized exchange private by proxy, because all you have to do is basically, wash your money through the privacy coin back into something else, and it can't be tracked. So like, it makes everything private. So like, that's going to be like, I don't know if that's going to happen on this cycle. It might be like the next cycle, like in 2029 or something, but it's going to happen and it's going to be crazy. So I think basically Bitcoin is a must, just like Bitcoin is security. So you have to have a security coin, which is like Bitcoin. No one's even competing in the security arena except for Bitcoin. And then you probably want to have a privacy coin. You might want to do a gaming thing. Like, I don't know, Hive has Splinterlands. I don't really like Splinterlands that much. I tried playing it a couple times. I'm looking for another game. I haven't found one yet. You might want a meme coin like Doge. Like Doge is kind of silly, but also you get that kind of exposure to the whole meme culture, which it is a valid community, even though like you could look at the token and be like, this coin doesn't do anything, this coin is stupid. Like from a logical perspective, it's still like a valid community, and you might want to have exposure to like at least one meme coin, like or not. Like obviously I don't care because I'm like, no, that's kind of dumb, but I could see why someone would make the argument to do that. And then I think we should all have like a dex token. Right now for me it's rune, because I mean there's not a lot of options out there, but I'm hearing there are a couple options, but they're like really small. I mean, Rune is already. I believe that Rune is like a top 10 token, um, but it's like I don't know, rank 50 or something. Other than that, like maybe a social media token, which is obviously Hive for us. I don't even know if there's another option in that department. Hive is also super important because um, the bandwidth is theoretically free. We have that whole situation going where it's a data availability layer, and we're basically yield farming bandwidth on Hive. So like if you have powered up tokens, you get bandwidth for free, and you don't really see that in other places. Like even Solana, that's supposed to have all these transactions per second, they still charge fees even though they're small. Well, if Solana like gets X 1,000 more adoption, what's going to happen? The fees are going to go up. It's going to be down all the time. Like that's not good.
Yeah, I like that you broke it up into kind of different sectors of the kind of crypto space, because there are so many different things going on, and I mean, obviously, all of us kind of being deep in the trenches, we know that there's a lot of different projects, coins, and kind of industries within the industry. So I like that you kind of considered exposure to all the various parts of the industry. I mean, personally, I'm very I've got Bitcoin, Rune, Leo, Hive, ETH, and that's like my portfolio. So even while you were talking, I was kind of thinking maybe one thing I am kind of lacking in is a little bit of sub industry exposure in terms of like meme coins, NFTs, gaming, etc. So I like that you broke it up in that way. Aesthetica, what's your take on I guess we're kind of digging into portfolio construction, and Addicted kind of focused more on kind of sector by sector. So feel free to tackle it however you want, either coin by coin or sector by sector.
Yeah, that's another great question. My God, you're good. I want to say hi to Eric. I spoke to him. Hi, Eric. Whatever. So I am not a gambler. So I'm not big in shit coins, like Doge, like this kind of stuff. I am a careful degen. I want to be careful because again, I work full time in Web3. All my income comes from Web3 since I'm here. Basically, I've been very lucky, and so I try to put my chances on the safest ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Ethereum, actually, I'm trying to. I fucking hate Ethereum. Honestly, those gas fees are horrible. If I have to pay taxes, I pay taxes to the government, not to Vitalik, honestly. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, NFTs. I never invested in a project hoping that he would grow. I only invested in projects that I was liking. I probably in my portfolio there is something of value. I don't know, but I'm not. I'm not that type of degen. If I would have to bet on something coming out from Web3, I would probably bet on not on social fi, not on gaming, at least not in the near future. I would not know. That's a very complicated question because, again, as I told you in the beginning, my approach to Web3 is just a series of opportunities, and I don't consider anything that it's been born of in Web3 right now something that potentially could last. For example, now the NFT space, it's all into ordinals, and ordinals probably in a couple of years will be dead because ordinals are actually going against everything that Bitcoin represent. It's just another way to capitalize on opportunities there. So it's a very good question, but I'm sorry if my answer is not that satisfying. I would not know on what to put my fish on, my chances on right now. Probably I don't know. Honestly, it's a great question. It's something to think about. What I'm doing, right? I'm working. I'm working. So I'm I worked in business for more than 10 years. I'm not super young anymore. I'm 40. So for Web3, I'm basically a grandpa. And so I use what I know. I use what I know from my life experience, from my work experience in Web3, and I had the chance to collaborate with a lot of projects. I'm currently involved in with some of them. I am again heavily involved in gaming, but it's Web2 gaming, and I will start something from Web3, mainly because I have more freedom in Web3. and then I will expand it into Web 2. But you know, something to be excited for. I think the only thing is always the same thing: the opportunities that you have for what you can do here. I wouldn't. I know that it's a lame answer, but it is what it is.
No, yeah. I mean, I think everybody has to have their own, approach to portfolio and investing. So, and I want to jump right back to you, Ascetica, because I'm curious, and I know a lot of people in the audience are curious about a very similar thing. Is that, you say your income comes from Web3, and I think a lot of us, a lot of people in the audience and just people in general would love to have, an income from Web3 and be able to live off of, the crypto space. I think that's kind of like the golden ticket dream that everybody has when they kind of first get involved with Bitcoin, and then, dive deeper into the space, is like, how could I, not only just like make money from this, but how could I actually like make a living from this, or make, create wealth from this? So I'm curious about two things, and I'll jump right back to you. Is, one, what does it look like, earning an income from Web3? How does that work for you? And then two, when you're, let's say in this bull run, are you looking to exit out of positions in your portfolio? And if so, what does that look like?
Another great question. My God, man. Okay. So, working Web3 is basically what everyone imagine it to be. The opposite, though. The exact opposite of what everyone imagine it to be. Especially if you want to work, if you don't want to become, if you don't aim to have a Lambo in your fucking garage, and you want to live like a normal person, it's challenging, especially now. I'm kind of known in Web3, so people look for me, they offer me jobs and whatever. But in the beginning was a 20-hour per day shift every day, all day, for a year and a half. It's been like that. After that, I met some people. I found, a more relaxed environment to work in. I made my money. There are a couple of things to say about me, I guess, that are relevant. I started that I had $600 in my bank account, because I hate money. I hate having money for some reason. I went through some shit in my life, and I have this mentality: if I can use my money to help someone, I do it. And I always did it in real life, and I keep doing it. I kept doing it in Web3. And shortly after I joined the space, again, I'm an older fella and I have my ideas. I never been big into dating online and this bullshit, but I've met a girl, and I met this girl that she's now my wife. We got married a couple of weeks ago, and we met in Web3. And when I met her, I said, okay, I can't keep giving my money away. I need to keep some money because I want her to be with me. So I kept grinding, and again, I started again those 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours shift every day. And I put myself in a position where I could, from those $600, I had money in my bank to now I have a house. I have her with me. We got married. I can pay the bills. I can, buy food and do stuff that normal human beings does in general. So this is Web3 for me. This is a serious thing. I work like every fucking human being in the world should do. Should not buy lottery tickets every day hoping that someday you will win. That's stupid. And that's the reason why the majority of people are not working in Web3, because there is work. I know people, I'm looking for people constantly to work in Web3. The problem is that people that are committed enough and treat Web3 as a job are I think 1%, maybe 1%. And so This is what looks like working in Web3. It's a struggle because not only that, but there is also the taxation part, the fact that it's decentralized and it's a fucking mess and whatever. But other than this, uh, to me, I can't say anything bad because without Web3, I probably would be, I don't know, working in another hotel. I would be probably managing a shitty business that I don't care about. Now I have the freedom to choose what to do in here, and it's fucking fantastic. I don't remember the second question though. I apologize.
No, you're good. The second part was about your portfolio. Are you, and I know you kind of just talked about how you're, treating it like a real job where you earn an income. So what's the kind of investor piece? That's the second part of the question is,
Okay.
how does it look like as an investor?
Yeah. So I am not a trader. Okay. I like to look at the graphs. I usually in the last drop before the last drop, I saw movements that was kind of signaling that something was happening. I sold everything. I bought at the dip, and I made some profit. But I'm very careful with this type of things. Again, I'm not a gambler. I like to see numbers. I like to take as little risks as possible with money that I can't afford to lose. And then the money that I can afford to lose, I don't know. I buy shit coins, I buy stuff, but that's not really. Uh, and it's not in the back of my head. Oh, I should buy this. I don't know. I buy it, and then if it goes up, good. I'm holding. I don't know how many shit coins, but um, again, I'm sorry. I know that it's boring, this answer, but I I treat Web3 as my job. So I don't risk the money that I work hard to get to put in my pockets.
Yeah, I love that perspective. I think it's a very unique perspective, like you said. I mean, maybe 1% of people in the industry, and I would say it's probably even a lot less than that, actually treat crypto and Web3 as a job and something that they can work in like any other job versus treating it like a lottery ticket. So I love that perspective. Addicted, do you want to give us your perspective? So one, we know that you're a blogger, so on Hive and earning income from Web3. So the first piece is about Web3 income. How does that look for you, and how do you tackle that? And then the second piece is based on your portfolio, which you kind of gave us the rundown on. What's your kind of cashing out strategy or investment philosophy behind that?
Right. Okay. So ordinals got brought up, and I just wanted to say that, like, yeah, I just think it's just the worst idea ever. Just bloating the security chain, which is Bitcoin, with like a bunch of NFTs and shit coins. It's just like it's so bad. Um, but in terms of my own portfolio and strategy, I'm like super, super overextended on Hive just because politically, Hive is my number one coin. So, like, it's not a good financial decision. It's just like a conviction. Sometimes you'll find a coin that you're like, I really want to like support this, and I don't care if it's a good or a bad idea. You just go in on it. And for the most part, that's kind of worked for me. Like, obviously, if I just stuck with Bitcoin this whole time, I'd probably have more money. But like, I wouldn't have the same type of reputation as I do now because, I've been stacking since 2017, and anyone can look on the Hive blockchain and see that, you know, my Hive power has only gone up like year over year. So my strategy is to, I believe in the 4-year cycle. I believe that 2020, this time is not different. 2025 is going to be like peak hype, and everything's just going to max out. And I need to slowly rotate into things that are safe, like Bitcoin and HBD. Hopefully, the yield at that time is high so that I can like earn yield on my HBD. But is there anything else that I was supposed to cover?
No, I mean, just generally, what your income looks like, and then, portfolio.
Right, right,
You
right.
can kind of take the portfolio part in any direction you want to take it.
Right. So my income is sad. Like I'm one of the top 20 earners on Hive on the whole network. And like, since we're at rank 350, that doesn't mean much because, we've been struggle busing for however long. The Hive brand is only 4 years old. We were created in March 2020 during the COVID crisis, right at the beginning of it. It was the craziest time ever. Um, but like the hostile takeover and the rebranding to Hive really set us back. And like people don't realize how bad that was from like an initial hit to our like reputation and our ability to like kind of um, be known to others. Like people still talk about Steam and Steam it, and it's like, dude, that's a dead chain, and people are still talking about it. Like if anyone brings up social media, they talk about Steam more than they talk about us, and it's like we're the community. Like that's just a dead, empty vapor chain. Like it's crazy. So yeah, it's been a struggle. I've been a distressed seller during the bear market. Like I think yeah, our local low was 25 cents, and it's like I can make like 20, 30, $40 on a blog post, but that's only, at best like $1,000 a month. But I'm more than comfortable living under the poverty line. I've been doing it my whole life. I don't really spend a lot of money. So like, money is just kind of like this scoreboard to me. And I'm like just trying to like get a nest egg going and get to a place where, you know, like I'll have enough money. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I feel like that's going to happen this upcoming run. I feel like with the whole institutional adoption, like real institutional adoption with BlackRock moving in and stuff, it's like we're all going to have the opportunity to just sell the peak and buy enough runway to last us however long we need. I really think that when you make it in crypto and you're like, I finally have enough money, and you're feeling on top of the world, and you're like, it's never going to come back down. That's when it always just crashes into the dirt. And when you finally feel like that, when you finally feel like, I finally have enough money, I'm good. Even if it crashes, like I'm still good. Like that's when you should take enough gains and buy like 4 years of runway. I want to sell enough crypto in 2025 to make sure that I can pay for 4 years of bills and buy the dip like at the same time. And if that's not how it happens this cycle, if this time really is different, then like sure. Uh, but it's not going to matter, right? Because even if it goes like we need to hedge our positions in a way where it doesn't matter if it goes up or down, we're good because that's just how these markets are so volatile. We should be using margin and leverage trading to hedge our positions rather than get into even more riskier positions and create an even more greedy situation when that's totally not necessary.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I've seen it time and time again, and I've also been guilty of it. I mean, I'm kind of guilty of it on the last dip, although it ended up working out in my favor. Is using a small amount of margin to long Rune because I saw the opportunity on centralized exchange futures marketplace to buy Rune at like $4, despite it never reaching that price like on chain, just because of that flash crash we had yesterday. So I mean, I think we're all guilty of doing certain things like that, but I do like your perspective of adding on hedges and being kind of cognizant of that, and kind of especially when you're kind of looking at your portfolio and income in terms of the kind of crypto price aspect of it, which obviously as a lot of us are bloggers on Hive, the price matters. I mean, the price, and for Leo obviously as well, the price of the underlying token is what ultimately determines the dollar value of the payout. The token payout itself is pretty much stagnant, but the dollar value of it fluctuates with the broader market. So you can't eat Hive or eat Leo for breakfast. You obviously have to cash it into dollars at some point if you're looking to make an income that you can live off of. So we are kind of subject to the swings of the market. So I do like that you shared to kind of have some hedges. And the last piece of what you got at Addicted was that some goals that you have essentially for the market, which is to kind of create that 4-year runway for yourself. So Ascetica, that was kind of where I wanted to take us. what are your goals in this bull run, this bull market? Let's just call it, the current stage of the cycle. What are your goals? What are you looking to get out of this, this set of the cycle? And it may be the next 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, but what are your kind of near-term goals?
I have. This is another great question. I need to stop saying that because it's boring at this point. But whatever. That's a fantastic one. So I have a couple of goals. I try to set my goals as realistic as possible. The first one, I told you about the fact that I am starting something myself, and I have people with me that are way smarter, way well placed than I am. So we want together to put the foundation for something sustainable and will happen hopefully this year. Across this year and next year. Between 2024 and 2025, and I have. It's silly, okay? It's silly because I am a guy that uh, I literally started from zero. The first money that I got to start in Web3, I got borrowed money by someone because I didn't have. So I have monetary goals, and to achieve those goals, I will keep doing what I'm doing, and I will keep learning to improve the methods that I have from people that are way more knowledgeable than I am. I had a goal for 2022. I achieved that goal. I had a goal for 2023. I achieved that goal. I have a bigger goal for 2024. I'm already on a good path, I would say, and I'm sure I can potentially achieve that goal. So I put on myself this type of milestone, realistic goals that I can achieve and I can celebrate, because I know that many people don't consider this aspect of it. But and in the beginning I was one of them. Burning out from Web3, it's it's very easy. You can burn out. You can because there are a lot of inputs coming from all the directions, and it's fucking nuts sometimes. And people ask me why you what's your secret to not burn out. And I have two. The first one is I set myself goals, small goals, and when I achieve those goals, I take my time to celebrate. I don't give a fuck. There are no opportunities lost if you celebrate and you take time for yourself and for your family, and you reset your brain a little bit. The second thing is that I consider time our most precious resource. Um, Everything we do have relevance, and it's important only because it does not last forever. Our life is important only because it does not last forever, only because it have an ending. So I try to do as much as I can, to help as much as I can, because only not I don't want anyone to think that I say this thing to make you think, oh yeah, he's great. No, I'm not. I'm just a guy, but it's what I choose to do. I like to help people, and I feel good when I do it. So it's kind of an egoistical thing to do. Somehow, I like the feeling of being helpful, and and so I try to not waste my time. I try to to use my time wisely, um, and with the project, with the startup that we are building, that's a huge commitment that we have, especially because it's in web 2, and there are a lot of nuances that we need to figure out. We already have figured that out, but there are a lot of things to think about. So that's my goal and my way of achieving those goals. Don't don't think that if you lost an opportunity, everything is lost. Every day in Web3, there is a new opportunity. So it's not a big deal, really.
Absolutely. And I'm reading the threadcast while we're going, and a lot of people appreciate your perspective because you're kind of giving a very different take than, I think what a lot of people are used to in this space, which is the obviously, investor take. Um, so people are very appreciative of that.
I'm an
And
investor, I like
yeah,
to invest my money in something that I believe. But at the same time, uh, can I be honest with you? Well, we are among friends here, isn't it? Um, People are fucked up. They join Web3 and they go nuts. They go nuts for money. What once you have the money to live a decent life, okay, what are you chasing? What are you chasing? A Lambo? Are you chasing a big mansion? Why? You will, with or without those things, and using your brain instead of your emotions, you can achieve anything you want. So I strongly believe that balance in Web3 it's something that is missing. It's everything looked from the perspective I need to capitalize on that. I need to make those gains, and you will make those gains even if you are not focused on them, and if you use your time and your resources in a more balanced way. I don't know if I can explain myself. I'm sorry. I eat pizza. I'm Italian, so and it's not my main language. English is not my main language, but I hope that I've been clear enough for someone.
yeah, no, absolutely, you are. And Herculean said something good in the threadcast too. Goals are important, and we should track our goals with time. Without goals, success is hard to achieve. And a lot of what you're saying, you have your specific set of goals, and other people have different goals. So it's good to have those goals, well defined, and not try to fit into any sort of framework that other people set. So I really like your takes on that. Addicted, do you want to expand a little bit on, you kind of prompted us into the sector of talking about goals, but do you want to expand on your goals at all in crypto and this bull run?
I just wanted to piggyback off of what was just said, like the whole Lambo culture of like just infinite greed. People are just so hypocritical. They come here and they're like, "Oh, I'm in it for the tech," or like, "This game is fun," and it's like, no, it's not. You're making money during in a pump and dump. Like it's ridiculous. Like I feel like if we look at where the we're going as like a species on this earth, it's not looking good. Like crypto exists for a reason, and it's because like there are so many problems that like Bitcoin should not exist. If everything was good, Bitcoin would not exist. Like Bitcoin basically just materialized out of this like need for trust. Like there's no more trust left. Everyone's just super corrupt. Everything is just super centralized and terrible, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And then there's all these people in crypto who are like, just give me money. It's like that attitude is part of the problem, and I feel like crypto really does a very good job of punishing greed. Like every single bear market, all the garbage gets flushed down the toilet. It just gets people just get absolutely destroyed, and like I get destroyed too, but I don't get it's like it's not like systemic failure. I still have all my crypto and stuff like, but you look at FTX, Three Arrows Capital. What was the other one? It was Terra Luna collapse. Like everything just gets completely destroyed, and it's like that's good. Like that's what we want. We need all of the terrible greed, all the worst offenders to just be completely obliterated and go away forever. Like um like it's something that you say like the whole don't ask what the network can do for you, ask what you can do for the network. I really do believe that the network will pay you for loyalty. Like you shouldn't be asking how you're going to get rich. You should be asking, how can I help this network? How can I help this community? And then if you do that and you're not greedy about it, the money will just come to you. Like you don't have to worry about it. It will just happen. Like you don't have to worry about how to make money. You just have to worry about how to build value for the community and you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot more to this industry than just money, but obviously the money is kind of the, shiny object in the room, the very alluring thing that kind of brings us all together. And to kind of shift us off the topic of just money in general, but getting a little bit more into a therapy session because of the title of this space. Let's start with you, Addicted. Do you ever feel,
My day
I
trade
feel
is
like
up.
such a
My day
therapist.
trade is up $1,000 right now. I'm like looking at it in real time. I'm like, oh my god, it's like
Oh,
24
there you
hours
go.
old.
A little bit of real
Like,
time stress and
yeah,
anxiety.
yeah. So I caught that dip at 60K, almost got liquidated. I got a margin call saying, oh, you're 75% at a loss, and you need to like add collateral, otherwise you're getting liquidated. And then within like 5 minutes, I was like up 50%. I was like, this is the craziest. Yesterday was the craziest day ever. Just to get to 69,420. People are like blaming Elon Musk for that. They're like, oh, Elon Musk set a sell order to 69,420 because he's a troll. And then like everyone collectively did a celebration yesterday. They're like, yay, all-time highs. And then like a bunch of bulls dumped. And then the bears saw it and then they shorted it into the ground. And it's just like, and then we got the long squeeze. Like if you look at longs, and shorts yesterday, $1 billion in leverage got liquidated yesterday, and then it was also a record-breaking day for how much Bitcoin um, BlackRock had acquired. So it's like all this money is just still flowing into BlackRock, and we still haven't hit supply shock yet. And it's just like it's insane. Like the market right now is insane. I'm convinced we're headed to a blow off top, and we're going to be at like 120K in like mid in like 2 weeks. Like, but I don't know. It sounds crazy. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been obviously seeing a lot of different people talk about that. Even saw Pomp on CNBC a few days ago say the same thing, that he thinks in the next 2 weeks it's going to be, well over 100K. I think he was calling for like 140K or something. So, just in general, I mean, the prices are obviously keeping everything crazy. And I wanted to kind of dive into the emotional aspect a little bit. So, similar kind of drawing off of what you just said, Addicted. How do you feel, stress wise, anxiety wise in the current state of the market? And also give like a little bit of, tactical perspective or tips that you would give, especially to someone who's new, of how to
Oh
deal
yeah,
with those emotions.
yeah. I have a ton of experience in this department because way back in the day during the Texas Hold'em days, I don't know, I don't know if you remember that. Like Texas Hold'em was like super popular. It was in TV shows, it was in movies, like um, Casino Royale, the James Bond movie. It's like a main theme in Casino Royale, like poker, Texas Hold'em. Like back in those days, um, I was a professional poker player, so like that was like the most stressful thing I've ever done. Like being a professional poker player, I hate losing money. I hate it. Like, but I was like, I can do this. I can be a professional poker player, and like I did it. Like, you have to be very very careful. You have to have a bankroll. Like my bankroll was like $3,000, and you have to make sure that the bets you make, if you get really unlucky, you have to make sure you're not going to run out of your bankroll, right? So like you have to have a big bankroll. You have to make manageable bets. You have to be like, what happens if I lose 30 times in a row? Am I going to run out of money? Like, um, it's just crazy. So like it's the same thing in crypto. Like if you want to make bets in crypto, they better be small, like hedged bets. Like you got to make sure that like your emotional tilt, like if you're up big or you're down bad, you were going on emotional tilt. You would just be like emotionally destroyed. And like that's what a lot of new people don't understand. You can look at a chart and be like, yeah, whatever, the chart did that. But like if you lived the chart and you look back at the chart, you're like, oh my God, do you remember how I was feeling when that was happening? Like it's completely different. Like you can't just look at the chart and think you know. Like it's like yesterday. Yesterday was like a nothing move if you just look at it. But for me, it's like was the craziest thing because I'm up $1,000 today on a day trade. So it's like it's nuts. So basically, I don't know. You gotta be very safe. Like you gotta try to be safe. You gotta try to you know. Um, I think it's a really big problem being all in all the time. Uh, when you're up money, you got to take gains off the table. You got to DCA, dollar cost average, all that stuff. Um, kind of like random rambling at this point. So I don't know if there's anything else you want me to cover.
Why don't you? So you kind of touched on, taking some profits off the table. Is that would you say that's your number one strategy for dealing with stress and anxiety? Just making sure that you're kind of personally good. And I know you said you keep your expenses low as well. So, I mean, I think you're kind of getting at that a big tool for you is just being like personally set. But what would be maybe if you can expand on, another tool or two that you use to kind of, you know, do you step away from the charts? What do you do to kind of, calm the anxiety, especially in something where like, you see the price hit an all-time high or the reverse of it, which is, you see a flash crash like yesterday.
It's not the same for me as it is for other people because, like I said, I have like over 10 years experience with like dealing with these emotions. So I don't know if I can really help other people who are just getting into it now and like, when during every 4-year cycle, the newbies get wrecked every time, no matter what. Doesn't matter what advice you give them, they always find a way to like destroy themselves, like financially, emotionally, everything. And it's just kind of like, I could tell you, hey, as the price goes up, take gains off the table so you don't have to worry about it. But then when they take gains off the table and the number keeps going up, they're on tilt because of the opportunity cost. They're like, oh, but I'd be up more money, and then they'll do something stupid because of that. They'll go on tilt. They'll FOMO their money back in, or like go long or something. Like, oh, it's going to keep going up, and then they lose all their money, and then they'll double down on that bet and lose twice as much again. And it's just like we see it every cycle. It's a never-ending cycle. It's only going to get worse. I really have to stress that these problems are only going to get worse. Like the people in crypto right now today are the early adopters. We are better at this on average than the average person. Like once it goes mainstream, it's going to be so much worse. Like we're going to have this constant inflow of new users who know nothing, and the average user is going to get like dumber and dumber over time, not smarter. It's going to be really weird. I don't even know how to like predict how that's going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, if it follows anything like other waves of adoption, like the internet, I mean, the tools and the resources, the front ends all get easier to use. So despite excuse me, despite other people maybe getting dumber, as the new people get in, hopefully the tools allow for that, you know, a gap in intelligence, or at least like a lower barrier to entry for a lot of people. Um, so that's just kind of my take on how
You
that
see these
evolves.
testimonials of like, oh yeah, grandma bought Bitcoin today because she says the halving event's coming. And you're like, what's the halving event, grandma? And she's like, I don't know. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you see tons of that. I mean, I mean, like I go to the gym and sit in the sauna, and I hear tons of people talking about crypto and like, oh yeah, the halving's coming. Like the rewards are going down, and that means that the price is going to instantly go up. And it is really funny to hear the normies talk about it. And that's kind of always been an evolving thing in this space, especially kind of in the last bull, where you saw a lot of just like, I mean, it kind of seemed like everybody and their mother was literally getting into crypto for the first time. So, um, Asetica, do you want to touch on, do you ever feel stress and anxiety during, the bull run? You've obviously been in it for a little while and seen a few cycles. And then also, maybe some tactical tools that you would, advise to people or tell people about if they're just getting into the space.
Yeah. So I was about to say that's a great question, but I didn't. See, I'm learning. So, yeah, of course, especially in the beginning, you feel stress. And by the way, addicted, I want to become your best friend. I like you so much. I like your takes. You're great.
Thanks.
Um, one thing that it's important to understand, it's that my perspective, it's a perspective of someone that I've seen it all. I've seen it literally. I've seen everything that I could everything that could happen in Web3. I've seen it. I've been in communities. I've been in business in Web3. I saw the market. I lived the market. I lost money. I gained money. And so my point of view can be a little bit distorted, but don't. And this I need to go back again to the same thing. use the right approach when you arrive in Web3. Web3 is depicted by many people, especially people that are in the NFT space. The NFT space, it's a niche of Web3 that is very weird. There is this narrative that Web3 is all these, unicorns pooping rainbows and green fields with love and people that love each other, and everything is beautiful. Oh my God, we love Web3. We are so lucky. People are great. No, people are shit. People are people. The majority of people that are here, remember always, that are driven by financial incentives. So if someone wants to be friend with you, probably have some interest in it. It's very difficult. It took me 3 years, more than 3 years, to build a network of people that I know I can trust. Surrounding yourself and sharing the struggles with the right people, it's very helpful. Especially because it's very possible that you will find someone that is going through the same thing that you are going through, and also learning from them, learning different perspectives. I'm from Italy, but I'm in business with people from Turkey, from Africa, from Morocco in Africa, from all Europe, the US, and learning different perspectives helps you deal with this type of stuff easier. And also, it's also, nowadays, society nowadays is kind of fucked up. So taking things not too seriously, it's also a thing that you should do. Don't get mad if you lose $20. If your portfolio is 1,000 and you lose 20, you lost an opportunity. It doesn't matter. There will be another one. Taking things for what they are. I think it's relevant to say that from my perspective, there is nothing serious enough. If you play your cards properly, there is nothing serious enough to get worried or mad with in Web3. So learn to be safe, learn to take things for what they are with a little bit of philosophy, and you will learn from other people. Because I'm 1,000% sure, despite my age, your age doesn't matter. What you did in Web 2 doesn't matter. You arrive in Web 3, it's a complete different dragon to kill. So every single person that is around for a while, Addicted here, Carl, Eric, I'm sure that the majority of the audience, if not every single person in here, could teach me something that I don't know. So the more you know, the more you are safe in Web3. That's my point. I'm sorry if I talk too much, I know, but I'm Italian. It's what it is, it's how they draw me.
No, you're talking just the right amount. It's you're giving some great takes, and like I said, I'm keeping an eye on the threadcast, and people love your perspectives. So definitely keep rolling with that as we enter the final phase of our chain chatter here. So Eric has been collecting questions throughout the show from the threadcast, from you guys in the audience, and it's not too late to ask a question. So even though he's been collecting them throughout, if you've got any questions from some of the stuff that we've talked about, feel free to drop them in the threadcast right now. We've probably got about 10 minutes left for Eric to kind of rapid fire some questions. So definitely ask some more questions if anything comes to mind. And if you want to direct something to a speaker in particular, just make sure you kind of mention their name so Eric knows to ask them specifically. Otherwise, Eric is just going to kind of prompt them, and then we'll just jump in as the speaker panel to whatever we want. So Eric, take us away.
Yeah, thank you very much, Addicted.
You might be muted, Eric.
For being here. So first, I'll just go through the questions. So if you want to respond to one of them, just
I'm having trouble hearing Eric.
I can hear him.
Go for it.
We can.
Oh, you can hear him. Oh, so it's just me. Okay. All right. Well, Eric, still take it away. I'll jump in from my PC while you're going.
Okay, perfect. So I can see Investor Ninja requesting to speak. I sent you a DM. Maybe you can come next week. And this question is from Mr. Hive 001. So, and I think this is better for Addicted, but feel free to go at it, anyone. So, do you think that the rate or extent of adoption of a coin is the principal thing that ensures a bull run on the coin, or is there something more?
The question is, do we need adoption for number to go up? Is that the question?
Yeah, no. Yeah, for like how adopted a coin can be. Is that a good factor for having a bull run for a token?
Well, it's like BlackRock adopted our coin, right? BlackRock adopted Bitcoin, and it's like, is that a good thing? Numbers going up, it's going to hit record-breaking targets, but do we really want them? And that's kind of like points to the whole permissionless state of the network. Is like all these Bitcoiners are actually mad. They're mad about BlackRock entering, and there's a really good reason for that. It's like they're our enemy, right? We don't want these people like jumping in with us and owning a piece of the network, but we don't get to choose. Like we are creating permissionless, borderless like architecture that anyone can use, and we can't stop. We can't stop people that we don't like from using it, and that's the entire point. But
Awesome. So I think this one's better for Cal, but Aesthetica, if you want to respond that, you're more than welcome. So once everyone gets in on the ETF, what would happen to crypto? Is it becoming harder and harder to earn as a proof of brain component, or how will people keep earning, especially after the halving? And I don't know if Cal heard this. So Aesthetica, if you want to go for it.
Oh, well, I thought Addicted would answer that because I have no clue. I rely on people like Addicted for this kind of stuff. That's why that's why knowledge from others is way more important than yours.
Yeah, definitely. Addicted, you want to go ahead?
I'm still kind of stuck on the last thing that Aesthetica said. I wrote a note down here that's like, the whole greed thing. Like we do have to kind of we're in like an ecosystem of greed, and we have to like kind of count on it and even lean into it. And like it just when he said like the whole $20 thing, like don't worry if you lose $20. I remember one time I downloaded someone for 1 penny, and they like, just like lost their mind, and they were enemies with me for life, and I was like, that's the craziest thing ever. But I just wanted to say that like finding people you can trust in crypto is really important, and I feel like Hive is really good for that because people have told me on Hive, like, you know, uh, that they would send me $10,000. They would just send it to me, and they would trust, even though they don't know who I am. They don't know, like, I haven't doxed myself. They don't know, like, where I live or even my full legal name. They'd trust me with like $10,000 just from my reputation on Hive. Um, and I've totally forgotten the question you asked. So could you just repeat it? Like getting back to the question.
Yeah. So basically, if so, once more adoption comes to Bitcoin and the ETF becomes mainstream, and it's harder and harder to mine Bitcoin, what do you think will happen to the proof of brain component of Bitcoin and
Proof of work?
generating blocks?
You said proof of brain.
Yeah, that's the question. But I mean, of course, you have to compute uh, to earn Bitcoin as a miner. So I think we can adapt the
Right.
question.
So the thing about I used to think the halvening event was kind of toxic, but now I think it's kind of perfect because the whole Greenpeace thing, like Bitcoin uses too much energy. Well, like it doesn't use too much energy. It uses exactly as much energy as it's supposed to because like that's the demand for it. If somebody else could build something that was better, that's what we'd be using. But we're not using it because Bitcoin is doing the thing. So like with the inflation rate going down, I mean that's every time it gets cut in half, the energy gets cut in half. Like so, That's pretty good for everyone. And the fees are going up, and I think the fees are going to basically replace the incentive, and then it's already pretty much a zero inflation chain. Like, how many Bitcoin are out there? Like 20 million, and there's like 21 total. So it's like, in my opinion, inflation is already pretty much 0%, and it doesn't even matter. The network has grown big enough to sustain itself just from fees, which is interesting. It's an interesting model. I don't think deflation is necessarily good. Like, everyone thinks deflation is like great because Bitcoin has had all this success, but I don't think that's true. I think deflation comes, like, economically, we know that deflation is bad and that there will be massive diminishing returns when it comes to Bitcoin in the future because of it. But so far, we're not seeing any of that. Like, it just keeps doing really well. And I think that really speaks to how messed up the current environment is in terms of the legacy system. Like, the world that we live in is so bad and corrupt and terrible that Bitcoin has this like super flawed, not great model, and it's like just surpassing wildest expectations. Like, I think that's really noteworthy to point out.
Yep, 100%. And this question is more for Aesthetica from Merculian D. So, how do you manage to have multiple income streams to make a living out of Web3? And how do you make it be worth your while?
That's a great one. So as I told you, there is not lack of opportunities in Web3. In the beginning, I struggled a lot because I was of the idea that you can't have 3-4 jobs and you can't be investing, you can't help people all at the same time. One thing that people lack, I realized that, and I realized it for myself, is time management. If you learn how to schedule your day properly, if you learn how to manage your time properly, you will realize that you have a lot of time to waste during the day. And if you use that time that you have to waste to capitalize on some of the opportunities that presents to you, then you will realize easily how to have multiple source of incomes. For example, I wanted myself to be in a position where I could be able to be considered a professional in Web3. And so what I did in the beginning is I studied. I studied not only the tech, how it works, what are the benefits, etc. I studied people. I studied how community works. I've done a a shameful amount of networking, and I met people that some of them I only saw them on TV or on YouTube. They are these huge creators that you meet, that you see on YouTube on the feed, and I'm nobody. I'm a nobody. I like to be a nobody, because as a nobody, you always have a chance to grow. If and also this is another thing that happens in Web3. Everybody that you talk to, it's someone. Oh, I had this multi-trillion company, but now I'm selling JPEGs because yes. Oh, I'm a businessman for 20 years and he's a 16 years old. So there are a lot of bullshit going on. Shut the noise in Web3 and learn your strength and learn what you can capitalize on. I know it's a very generic type of answer, but unless you want to know where I earn my money, that's the best the best type of answer and the best type of suggestion that I can give you.
And if anyone wants to know exactly what Aesthetica does to make money on Web3, well, you guys can just give him a follow and start networking with him. That's the point of this space, to showcase great players in the space. So yeah, go give him a follow. And I think this question aligns a lot with Cal. So this is from IDK Samad. I'm curious what your thoughts on Bitcoin top is for this cycle. I came across a lot of unrealistic predictions about Bitcoin, but what's in your mind about this cycle's top?
Where's the top for this cycle? So, you know, obviously, I don't think there's any real way to predict the top. I don't attempt to do that. I'm a pretty close follower of Warren Buffett, and I've been in the investment world and trading and investing for a long time now. Obviously, not as long as him, but there are certain principles that I generally follow, and I'm much less of a trader and more of an investor. And I've obviously gone through different periods of my life where sometimes I'm doing more trading than investing, but I would say as I've gotten older and as my portfolio has grown in size as well, trading has become less and less important to me as protecting my wealth and then also finding ways to grow it. And the reason why I mentioned that is because my strategy for quote unquote timing the top is very different now than it used to be. When I first got into this space, almost like 9 years ago at this point. My strategy now is much more not trying to time the market, and a big Warren Buffett saying, and that's why I mentioned him, is it's about time in the market, not timing the market. I don't believe that I can time the market any better than anybody else, and I think there's probably a lot of people out there that can time it better than I can. People with more access to information. Even take like a Larry Fink, at BlackRock example, and to pit me against somebody like that because at the end of the day, trading and investing is a player versus player marketplace. I'm not going to win that battle in terms of having more information and having better people to advise me on when the top is, for example. So my approach, my strategy is that I pick a price, and this is kind of my answer also to the topic of the space. I have a price in mind for Bitcoin and for the other coins that I'm invested in, and when they cross that price, I begin to sell, and I basically have chunks. So like I'll give you Rune as an example, just because the price of it is much easier to kind of correlate with. When Rune hits $30, that is my initial price target to start selling. And in the $30 to $40 range, I'm selling 5% of my Rune stack per day. And then once it crosses 40, that percentage increases. So I'm very much a believer in dollar cost averaging in, which means buying over a specific period of time with a set amount of money consistently. And I'm also a believer in dollar cost averaging out. And I've learned this lesson the hard way in this space by, trying to time the market and trying to pick my spot to sell, buy in at a low price and then sell at some crazy high price. But, for example, last cycle, many people were saying they wanted to sell at 75K or 100K. And what happened? They held their Bitcoin to 69K, and then, it never crossed that. And then it never hit any point where they could sell anything. Versus me, I had once it hit 50K, I immediately started selling, small percentages of my stack. So I'm very much a believer in dollar cost averaging out rather than trying to time the top. So if it were me, I would, and this is what I actually do, is pick a price where you're like, this is achieving my financial goals above this price range, which, like I said, for Rune, for me, that's like $30 per Rune. And for Bitcoin, that's somewhere in the kind of 80K range is when I'll start to sell a little bit. So pick some sort of price range like that, and then dollar cost average out would be the way I approach it versus trying to time the top.
$5 million Bitcoin, send it. I think I don't know. I still think the 4-year cycle is like killing it. Like if you had just sold in November during the 4-year cycle in 2021, 2017, 2013, you would have just destroyed it. And if you had bought back in 1 year later, like again, that's the bottom, like every single time. Like I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Like, and every single time it happens, people are like, no, this time is different. And it's like it happens every single. It's like the same month. Yeah, like go look at it. Go look at November in the bull market years. It's like the top every single time. And November, in 2022, that was when FTX collapsed. It blew my mind. I was like, it happened again. Like, it's just wild to me. And I think I'm targeting insane astronomical numbers with BlackRock getting in and the derivative market and nation states and MicroStrategy stock going up 160% in a month. I'm just like, nope, it's this time it's like last cycle, it was a huge disappointment. I was targeting like 250K last cycle. Uh, this cycle, I think it's going to be the opposite. It's going to go so high that people are going to sell out early, and they're just going to be on super tilt, super just astronomical tilt because they sold and it just kept going up. But we'll see how it goes. I'm always just going to be targeting 20, like the bull market year, which is 2025 in this situation.
Yeah, and I think this is a great question to end with. This not from anyone but me. But do you think that the ETF inflows and how adoption is going to get higher and higher after more people have access to this asset, to the Bitcoin asset? Do you think that the cycles will stop having an impact because money will just keep flowing until, I don't know, we will even trump gold
Absolutely
in
not.
market cap?
Absolutely 1,000% no. Like it's people are like, oh, super cycle, S curve. Like, no, it's not this. It's not different this time. It's exactly the same. Like the reason people like to compare it to gold recently, they're like, oh, well, when gold got the ETF, it went on a run for 8 years, super cycle, blah blah blah, S curve, and it's like, no, it's not different this time. It's exactly the same. Like, stop thinking that, because what's going to happen is that BlackRock's going to create these derivatives. They're going to let people like take out low yield loans with their like retirement accounts, their Roth IRAs and everything. They're going to create call and put options. They're going to put a bunch of leverage into the system, and then it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same cycle. Like it's just bigger this time. Like we're going to know if Bitcoin is worth multi millions of dollars. Obviously, it's coming back down. But if that happens, think about how people are going to be acting during that time. Think about Bitcoin at $2 million for one Bitcoin. Think about and like grandma running around thinking she's a genius to all of her friends and getting all of her friends to join, and like they're all degen gambling with their retirement accounts. It's like it's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful, and like everyone's going to be like, oh, super cycle S curve, it's never coming back down again, and they're all going to get wrecked. There's going to be all these stories of people losing their house and their retirement funds in 2026. Like it's going to be bad. Like, so I just would put that out there and be like, hey, you should maybe not be thinking this time is different, because yeah, if what I think is going to happen is happens, like there's going to be a lot of pain out there.
What about you, Cal? What do you think? Or, well, better yet, what about you, Aesthetica? What do you think about all of this?
Well, I share very much the same concern that Addicted shares. I think, while he was talking, I was thinking about these narratives that are going around for forever about people talking about mass adoption and more people onboarded in Web3 and crypto and stuff like that. Imagine what he said amplified. Imagine your mother coming here investing in something because she read on Twitter that we will go to the moon, or a prince DM'd her that she won a Bitcoin and she just need to click on the link. So I don't really have much to add of what on what he said, on top of what he said. Just as I suggested, shut the noise, because and be aware of what's going on and what will happen, and follow people like Addicted, because he obviously know what he's talking about.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Cal? And I think we can close with this one.
I think
Sorry, you cut out. You cut
no,
out
no.
for me again. Do you mind
Oh yeah,
mind
Just
repeating
what
it?
do you think about super cycle question that we were just talking about?
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I still can't. For some reason, I can't hear Eric on the space, but um, I've always been looking out for the super cycle. Obviously want it to happen as much as everybody else. Um, kind of what I was getting at before about dollar cost averaging out. I have never really kind of played my hands, waiting for the super cycle or hoping that it was upon us. Like you mentioned earlier, addicted. I've heard people time and time again say that this time is different. This time is different. This time
Yeah,
is the super cycle.
but if it is different, it doesn't matter, right? If it's different,
Right.
if it's different, if there's a super cycle, everybody wins, and we can all like ride off into the sunset, and it doesn't matter what we do, we're gonna make money no matter what. That's not what's gonna happen. Like, it's not
Right.
like, and if it does, who
Yeah.
cares? That's just
Yeah. I
greedy.
mean,
That's just greedy.
it is super greedy. I mean, and at the end of the day, like, how many people are realistically not going to like start dumping their Bitcoin at 100K? And then, if it is the super cycle, then, those people lose emotionally. They're going to be freaking out about how they could have made so much money. I mean, that's probably the number one thing I hear from people who invest in crypto is like, I could have made, $5 million. I was looking at my Dogecoin and it was worth $5 million at one point, but then I didn't sell it and then it went down and then I ended up cashing out for $50,000. I'm
Yeah, the
like, okay, well
opportunity cost tilt. It's just like going to be rampant.
exactly. So, I mean, I would love to see a environment where Bitcoin is just kind of only up and it becomes like gold. And I am a believer that that's going to happen at some point. At some point, I think Bitcoin finds its mass adoption, and to me, mass adoption has always been, flip the gold market cap, and then Bitcoin is just digital gold, and the biggest pension funds in the world and people across the world use it as I buy this thing and I know that 20 years from now it's going to be worth more and it's going to just increase by some percentage, CAGR every year. So that's my opinion on the super cycle. I personally have never made plans for a super cycle, but I do think at some point Bitcoin reaches that kind of, takeoff velocity.
But don't you agree that you don't have to make a plan for it? Because if it happens, we all win.
I mean, yeah, it's like I said. I mean, the people that lose are the ones that sell early. But then you also can't just say, well, then don't sell because I mean, everyone's got different financial goals. So, like, for a lot of people, you have to take profits, you have to sell. And then if you're wrong about the super cycle, it's a good idea to sell. So, I
I guess
don't
it all
really
just
know
comes
how to
down
plan for it.
to DCA, like which is your thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I revolve my entire strategy around DCA, and you can't get mad at yourself for. I mean, I think a big piece of it is emotional, and if you have a strategy to DCA and you're comfortable with, I have a financial goal of, 10xing my portfolio, and that means that I DCA at 10x, and if it ends up 100xing and I missed out on that, I made the best decision I could with the information I had at the time I made it. So I think that's kind of a key thing for people to learn, and I see it so frequently. I mean, we're going to see it a lot in this cycle, in my opinion.
yeah,
Of I could have made $10 million, but I didn't.
yeah, that's why I'm so disappointed with how uh, DeFi 2020 turned out because those liquidity pools that were generating yields, they automatically DCA for you in both directions on an algorithm. All you have to do is put your money in and it DCAs automatically. And people called that impermanent loss. And it's like, wow, we're such degenerates that like the safe DCA strategy is being called a loss by crypto people. Like it's just insane to me.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good way to put it. It is like one of the biggest. I mean, you still see it, but definitely, like you said, I mean, in the DeFi summer, it was like everybody was concerned with their impermanent loss. Like, I don't want to miss out on all these gains. But it is like the ultimate signal of greed because it's like, oh, I made gains, but I could have made other gains, and I missed out on them, and that's why it's my loss. Um, so I definitely think that terminology was kind of poorly implemented. I heard a lot of alternative words, to use to define that, and yeah, I think impermanent loss is a horrible way of describing it.
Yeah, it's like your coin went X 100 against Ethereum and your total position is only up X10. So now I'm sad because I'm only up X10. It's like, it's so greedy.
Yep, and you know, I mean, I always see you posting the fear and greed indicators. This whole industry is really driven by fear and greed, which is, you know, a big reason why I really liked having Aesthetica on today has been because his perspective is much less around, you know, market dynamics and much more, you know, building in the space.
Yeah, it's been refreshing.
You know, I try, man. It's not easy, especially in the beginning. It wasn't easy because I had everyone, you know, saying to me, "Oh, but you're losing that opportunity. Oh, you're losing this. You're losing that." Fuck you! I'm not losing that. You are losing. I haven't. I lost money one time because the market dropped, and I haven't seen that coming. And I spent over $10,000 for just buying art from people that I met and I was liking. And I don't know how much money we invested in charities and to help people around the space. And I spent money myself. So I don't give a fuck about the greed part of it. I care about my wife to have whatever she needs. I care about paying my bills, paying my rent, having a normal life, living a decent life, and building something that is sustainable. Because you know this is another problem in Web3. Sustainability, it's hard to build in Web3. It's so the market is so volatile. Not talking about obviously the NFT space that is even worse, but only talking about the crypto space, building something here, it's difficult and not impossible if you have the right mindset. I saw people make it. I was advisor in some projects that are nowadays still successful. So it's just the perspective you watch things from. I believe that's all that matters. And you know, being here and being able to talk to people like Cal, like Addicted, like Eric, people very knowledgeable on aspects that I don't know. It's a blessing, you know. I learned a lot, and I want to thank you for this opportunity, really.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for coming on. And I know Eric said we're done with questions now, so good time to wrap us up. So thank you, Eric, for co-hosting. Thanks, Addicted, for joining us. Thank you, Aesthetica. Addicted and Aesthetica. We'll start with you, Addicted, and then Aesthetica to close out. Do you want to give the people you know, some direction to, you know, keep following you and learn more about you? And I know you're going to share your Hive links and etc. But any links, any places you want to send the people?
Yeah, I mean, my link is in my profile. No one ever checks it because, you know, Twitter has us in the black hole of echo chamber or whatever they're doing with Hive. Like, I don't know if you believe that, but I just remember when Elon Musk took over for the first 2 weeks, he let me out of my cage for like 2 weeks, and I was getting like all kinds of like follows and like replies back and stuff. And then like after that, it was just over. I was back in my hole. So yeah, I mean, you can check out my bio. It's in links in my bio. But I did have one last question for Aesthetica, and it is, I made a Hive account called Aesthetica. Do you want it?
Man, if you offer me that, I want it. Thank you. Yes, yes.
Okay,
I
DM.
want to check that out. Yes.
Send you the keys in the DM.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Love it. We're onboarding live. Definitely looking forward to seeing Aesthetica on Hive. If you ever want to cross post your, you know, tweets, or I don't know if you write blog posts or long form, but definitely would love to see you. I know the audience would love to see you on there as well. But Aesthetica, do you have any links you want to send to people to learn more about you and keep up with everything that you're doing in Web3?
Well, I'm only on X. This is my only social media. He's treating me nicely, I would say. So if you want to connect, I'm here. I'm building something with some incredible people. The link for the X profile is in there. I don't know. If you want, check that out. I will be very happy to share my path with you guys. And again, very happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Loved having you on. Loved your takes. I know everyone in the Threadcast did as well. So thank you, Aesthetica, for joining us. Thanks, Addicted. And thanks, Eric, for co-hosting. This was Chain Chatter number 11, and we'll see you guys next week for number 12. Peace out.